show that they will come to know him, they will be saved, and they will prosper and have peace. So I know that my prayers are answered because he's answered them all my life. I praise God and thank you for each for listening, and I especially am pleased with the people who are here on the show because these are people who are speaking against CPS. They belong to CPR, which is Child Parent Rights. We have met at my home weekly, and we know that the things that the CPS are doing are not protective at all. They are highly abusive. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jenny and...
Donnie.
Excuse me. You're Jenny?
I'm Jenny.
And John?
Donnie.
Donnie. Forgive me, Donnie. And I understand you have some live music for us.
Well, it could be if the amplifier stays well.
Is it working well
It's
now?
working now, thank you.
And this is Cindy. And Cindy's been on our show before. We'll go more into detail. But while it's still working, let's open with some music. You have a song that you wrote for your child that you had to relinquish to the system. Am I correct?
Yes, my daughter Mandy. I fought the state child protective services for 3 years. The first 3 years of my incarceration, I went to prison for some time. And the first 3 years of my incarceration, my wife and I were fighting against child protective services for my daughter Mandy.
And you had to sign her over.
Yes, because if we didn't, then they were going to take our son also.
They always have this game playing where they're parring one against the other, and if you want this one, you've got to give up this one. That is horrible. It's happened with every case I know. And you wrote this song for your daughter, who is now what age?
She's going on 10 years old now. The last time I seen her, she was 14 months old.
And what age was she when they took her in?
About 2 months old, I guess.
Oh, that's horrible. I've got some words from the Lord about that, but first let's open with your song, and this is written to this child.
This is for my daughter. It was for her birthday while I was in prison. I couldn't be with her. I couldn't really send her anything. Financially, I wasn't able. So I wrote this song, and I put it on a cassette tape, and I sent it to her with a picture.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Donnie. I'm going to ask you to just go ahead now, adjust whatever you need to adjust so that you have the amplifier.
Okay.
Okay. In the meantime, I want to thank all the camera people who have come here. I appreciate every single person who works for this show. And we've got some beautiful technicians working, and I thank all of them. I thank Tucson Community Cable for broadcasting this as free time. It is public access at its best, and we just deeply appreciate it. Okay, go ahead. I don't want to intrude on your time. Oh, that's okay. Go ahead. Okay. Because I have been following CPS antics and tactics for many, many years, I'm going to start out while he's getting ready, reading what the Lord says about this type of thing. This is in Psalms 37. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like grass, and wither as the herb tree. Trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And I know that for most of these people, it seems like an awfully long time. I recognize that, and I'm very compassionate with that. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospers in the way. If there's anybody that I've known who prospers because of evildoers, it's CPS. And CPS, I'm sorry to have to bring this harsh word to you, but this is God's own word. I didn't write it. You shall be cut down as grass. You shall no longer prosper in the way. Right now you're doing it at the peril of your own children. There's plenty of Bible verses that verify this. Your own children are in jeopardy as long as you do this type of thing. Let's see. Where was I? For a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnashes his teeth upon him. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow, to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be upright, have upright conversation. Their swords shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. A little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of the wicked. For the arm of the righteous shall be broken, and the Lord upholdeth the righteous. I read it wrong. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. The Lord knoweth their days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume into smoke, shall be consumed away. The wicked borroweth, and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy, and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. I didn't write this, folks. I even hesitate to have to read it, but you cannot possibly know the Lord and continue as you have been. Now, I have called you to understand before that unless you know his love, you cannot treat these children and these parents righteously. Many of you yourselves were abused as children. I've heard lots of feedback in that regard, and I've heard direct comments made of the comments you have made about how much power you have, that you are like God. You are not. Forgive me for having to be so blunt about it, but I'm warning you with all my heart. I really care about you. I really pray for you, and I know that these people also pray for you. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his ways. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. I have been young, and now am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Mark the perfect man, and uphold the upright, for the end of that man is peace, but the transgressors shall be destroyed forever. And the end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of the Lord. He is their strength in the time of trouble. But the Lord shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. Please listen, CPS, okay? And I've heard recently that our City Attorney, Steve Neely, is going to start to work on behalf of these people and against CPS. So please behave and understand that I'm coming with love and compassion, but I am warning you that you must not continue taking these children. I am aghast that people like Cindy, who have been on this program at least 4 or 5 times, has still not had any recourse from what has happened. I'm going to let her talk a little bit, but okay, let's go ahead with the live music, and thank you folks for helping. Got it straight?
Okay.
Thank you, Donnie, very much.
Thank you.
You bet.
This is for you, Mandy, wherever you are, sweetheart. Of course, you don't know me. You don't know your mother.
But you will someday, I promise you. She will be one of them coming up against CPS, believe me.
I hope so.
That's my own prophecy, and I can back it with a lot of confidence. Go ahead.
This is for you, Mandy. It was written in prison for you. Maybe it's been played for you, maybe it's not. I don't know. It was sent to you, though, on your birthday. You were 2 years old. It's called Daddy's Love. You want me to? This year for day, I have much to give, just a song of the day.
can't hear it, honey. Okay, can you sing it louder, and then can you turn the music lower?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're hearing the music too loud, and we're
Yeah.
not hearing your voice. I'm sorry, but it's beautiful.
I apologize.
It's all right. It may come out the other, over the air better. But I'm just going by what we can hear here in the studio. And we want to hear it. It's beautifully written. Good. Repeat it. Yeah, please do. And burst out, okay? God bless you.
Let's try it again. Is that low enough? Good.
Okay.
The amplifier doesn't show out. Can it drop? This year for your birthday, I haven't much to give. Just this song and a picture of your daddy. 'Cause I haven't lots of money. I swear that I love you, honey. Someday you'll understand just how I feel. Lots of love, lots of love is all I have to give to you this year. Lots of love just for Maddie. Longer lasting than cotton candy. And Daddy's love no money could ever buy. If I could be with you, you'd have the biggest party a little girl could ever dream of having. A room filled with toys, lots of games for girls and boys, and a red-nosed clown you know is really your daddy. Lots of love, lots of love is all I have to give to you this year. Lots of love just for Mandy. Longer lasting than cotton candy. And Daddy's love no money could ever buy. Lots of love, love just for Mandy. Thank you. God bless.
Yeah, that is wonderful. One of these days, she's going to meet you, and she's going to see this situation from an adult standpoint, and she's going to be one of the biggest enemies that CPS has, I promise you. And the same with your little Sarah. Take a moment and tell about Sarah just for a few moments, and then we'll get back to these people. You just were recently with her over Christmas.
Yeah, Sarah has been out of our house for nearly 7 years now, in March.
She's how old now?
She's 12, and we just recently went to court, and we're trying to get more time with our daughter to see her as a family. And it's a big fight, and it shouldn't be. And we have our son at home still, and he's very difficult to take care of, but a lot of it, and he'll tell you this himself, is because he's mad at CPS, And it makes him so angry that it's very hard for him to control his behavior. But of course CPS is blaming me for that I can't handle him, and it's, I can provide a good home with discipline and structure now that I know what structure is. And we're just trying to get more time with her right now. Everything is very slow with CPS. And 7 years is a long time, but it's going to probably take till she's 18 to get her home. And it just doesn't make any sense, and there's no rights with CPS at all. There's no rights in the juvenile court, and you just have to go along and hope for the best, and hope that you can just get somebody to understand and give you back your kids. There's nothing else.
There's no excuse. I know that there's no excuse for this child being taken. They've manufactured all kinds of, quote, reasons, but there's no excuse at all to deprive this child of her family's rights and deprive the family of her love. Absolutely, totally against anything that God states or anything that humanity even comprehends of families' rights and love relationships. CPS, clean up your act. I'm tired. I'll tell you honestly, the next lawsuit that you get is probably going to be for me, because you're depriving even me of any opportunity to have a normal life. Please understand, I love these people, but I'm not wanting to spend all my time talking about what's wrong with CPS. I want to see you folks clean up your act. Now we're going to go to these people. Jenny, do you feel up to telling us your side of the story on your
Yes,
case?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
It'll be 3 years this coming July that my children, my 2 younger boys, one's 7 now, and the other one is 4, but they were pulled out of the home through these animals. They wanted me to get my life cleaned up, which I did. They did not provide me with any case plan for these children, so I went out voluntarily on my own and provided all these services, counseling. I went through 2 series of parenting classes, to name a few other things that I had done. Well, it didn't do any good. I now have a new baby that I had, about 5 months ago, and they've stuck their noses in her life. And I asked my CPS worker why they had to interfere in her life, and they said because of my history. And I have been stressed out. I have a severe anxiety and panic disorder because of it.
Who wouldn't have?
She's so afraid of these people.
Of
I
course.
mean, she's just been so stressed out over it. She can barely function. I mean, she's a good mother. She takes care of her baby. But as far as taking care of other things, she can't even focus because she's so stressed out and so mixed up and confused over this whole situation.
How can anyone concentrate on anything when their child has been snatched from them? And in this case, you've got several other children, this one that he talked about. What's the game plan on the whole situation, the whole family? What have you done, starting with the oldest and going on?
May I speak?
Yes, of course, Don.
Here's what the situation is. Back in 1984, when my daughter was born.
That's your first child.
Yes, Amanda June Baldwin. She was born, I had a cocaine addiction problem with it. I was arrested. I went to prison for it. A month and a half after I was in prison, my daughter was removed from the home, taken out. They started a severance. My wife went through counseling, treatment center, got my daughter back. Then my son was conceived. I won't explain how, but during my incarceration, my wife and I conceived a son, Christopher. When he reached 9 months old, they still had a hold of Mandy, my daughter. They were still filing severance because of her drinking and her irresponsibility, so on and so forth. My son was born. She didn't drink during the pregnancy. And up until 9 months, when he was 9 months old, she hadn't drank at all. Hadn't touched a drop. Well, she had a relapse. 1-2 days a binge, I guess. And CPS found out about it. They came and took my boy, Christopher.
He is how old at this point?
Right now, he is 7 years old.
And how old was he when they took him?
9 months.
And they've kept him all this time?
No, it's been a circus. It's been a roller coaster. In and out. If she steps out of line in any variation, if she's not doing exactly what's being told, then they will come in and remove the children.
She shouldn't have to have provided these services. They have these services. They should have brought them to the home. Their own regulations, they defy their own regulations. They do not follow them. They're supposed to treat you people with dignity.
Some respect.
Of course.
Please. But, so then they had my son. The reason for grounds for severance against my wife was that she wasn't capable of caring for a child. The care and welfare of a child, especially an infant, my daughter. That's what their grounds were for severing my daughter's rights. And that's what they were using as grounds to sever my boy's rights too. They were going to sever his rights also at that time. Well, what happened is they says, well, you can't take care of this child and we're going to sever your rights, but I'll tell you what we're going to do. This is what they're telling my wife and I. If you sign these papers for these people to adopt your daughter, you relinquish your rights, we will drop the severance on your son. We will not fight. We will not try to keep your son.
They're always
But
treated
if you do,
one child for another.
thank you, they plea bargained my children like cattle.
I know it. I know it.
They were saying that she was incapable of caring for one child, but that's what their grounds were. Well, what I can't understand is Child Protective Services, if she's not able to care for one child, why in God's name was she given the opportunity again to care for the other child? Why was she giving back any children? So the point isn't, I don't feel that it doesn't boil down to whether or not she was capable or not of taking care of these children.
It isn't even true that
Or whether or not they cared enough or whatever to give her the children back.
Right. It isn't even true that the foster care people are taking better care. In some cases, there would be, of course, nothing's blanket. But in most cases, the children are abused, neglected, and so on. I've talked directly with the children. I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's not as though that's a better way to go. They never come into the home and try to solve the problems at the home so that the love relationship can be intact, the bonding can be intact. Go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Forgive me for interrupting.
So my wife was so intimidated, so petrified over it. She knew how much I loved my boy, Christopher. She went ahead and signed the papers to relinquish my daughter's rights. It just took a matter of time before they severed my rights. The only thing they needed to prove against me was that my child would be deprived of a normal home setting for a period of years.
And I was...
I'm sorry, please let me finish.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that I was in a long-term treatment at the Haven for alcohol addiction, and I stayed there for almost a year and a couple of months. Now, if I'm not capable of taking care of one child, then why in the world would they allow me to take care of another child? And finally, I signed the papers over when I was at the Haven, and I was able to start getting my visits with my son. Everything was fine. After I left the Haven, they kept close eyes on me for about a year, and then they finally closed the case. And
I returned my son to Jenny.
yes,
Christopher.
everything was fine. But then I got involved in a bad relationship.
This was just a few months prior to my release from prison.
I guess because I was lonely, I was vulnerable. I took on a relationship with an alcoholic, and I
Up
tried.
until this time, she hadn't drank. When she met up with this man, may I say his name?
Yeah, sure.
When she met up with Mr. Leland Taylor, he grabbed control of her. Very manipulative man. Alcoholics are that way.
Yes, they are.
Very manipulative, very conning, very, how would you say, hypnotic almost.
Right.
And he had that type of control over her. He did that to her. He brutalized her.
Mercy.
Raped her, brutalized her, humiliated her,
Mercy.
and my children were subjected to this danger.
Mercy.
Now, I have 2 boys now. There was another boy born, my son Joshua Cody.
Mm-hmm.
So they were subjected to his violence, his intimidation, his vulgarity, everything. Always. She, at times, tried to get out of the relationship, but he had such a stronghold on her. She did cry out for help on numerous occasions, did call the police regarding this man. Well, eventually, Child Protective Services found out about it, and they came into the home, and they took my boys, too. She still had visits. Now, mind you, I hadn't been out of prison yet. She still had her visits with the boys. She was seeing them at their facility down on Broadway, if I'm not mistaken. Well, one day, just after my release from prison, I had an initial interview with my lawyer regarding the case against the children and everything. I had just been appointed a lawyer at June Excell. I was supposed to be at her office for the initial interview at 11 o'clock. Well, at 10 o'clock that same morning, my wife had a visit with my son Christopher. Now, usually the children are already there at the facility in the building. Perchance that day, the transportation lady was late. I was in the parking lot, next to the car, next to the vehicle, our vehicle. She was getting ready to go in to have the visit with Christopher. We had already thought that he was probably there. So I'm standing outside in the parking lot. Up comes my boy with the transportation lady. They're late. He sees me. He screams, "Daddy." I started to walk towards him. The lady said, "No, don't come towards us at all." I said, "Can I at least give my son a hug?" My son was trying to pull away from this transportation lady, wanted to come to his father. He wasn't able to. Now, it wasn't a planned rendezvous. It was just perchance I had to be there because right after her visit, we had to drive down the street to my initial interview with my lawyer. There was no other way around it.
Right.
And because of me being in that parking lot during her visit, because my son seen me in public, because my son just viewed me, they terminated her visits. And from that point on, they have been filing severance.
That is cruelty.
Because I was in the parking lot. A public facility, mind you.
That is absolute cruelty. Have you
Because
gone...
they say he was traumatized after the experience of seeing his father in the parking lot. And yes, he was traumatized. Why? He sees his father.
Why not?
He goes into the visit, he withdrew. He withdrew into a corner, wouldn't
Of
talk.
course.
He seen his father. My God, why couldn't he come and be with him, hold him, hug him?
Of course. That's the only normal thing.
And all of them are saying, now my boy has special needs, he's violent, he's angry. I wonder why.
Of course he's angry. I'm angry too.
He's been in 9 different foster homes, and they want to, and they removed him from the home and filed a severance, stating that they wanted to place him in a stable environment.
Oh, great. Okay.
9 foster homes, that's pretty stable.
Yeah, that's real stable.
And he's a little maniac now. I love him, and I'll do whatever I have to do to win him over. And I'll love him if I'm ever given the opportunity.
Love will do it. That is absolute insanity, and it's cruelty.
He has no respect for women, has no respect for authority, and they think with their high-class psychologists and all of their agencies are going to do the trick and turn him into something productive, someone productive. Not until the issue's done with that he has. I'm sure he feels rejected from me.
Of course
He doesn't know whether or not his daddy loves him or not.
Of course he does. That is...
And they will not give me the opportunity to at least look him in the eye and tell him, boy, I love you. I've never been given that opportunity. In the entire time I've been out of prison. Over a year now.
Have they ever made any charges against you and the child in any relationship?
None whatsoever.
So there's no no presumed cause?
There's been no abuse on my part towards the children whatsoever.
It is absolute insanity. I am getting more and more angry. Have you talked with Larry Berlin?
Yes,
Attorney
my
Larry
wife.
Berlin?
My wife has spoken with Larry Berlin.
Do you have a lawsuit?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we are involved with the class action.
Well, the next one's going to be on my behalf, because I'm tired of spending, not tired of it, not wasting my time, but this is my choice of my pursuit of happiness. To keep on hearing me, I care about you folks. I'm simply saying, I care about me too. I want some time that is spent pleasurably with my own family. You can't imagine how many situations I'm confronted with. And I do care, and I'm not in any way saying that this is time not well spent. But I have some pursuit of happiness that I'd like to pursue too. And the next lawsuit that Larry Berlin is going to have is going to be for me against them. I'm going to Attorney Steve Neely and tell him the same thing. I am glad that he's getting into the act. But I've cried out for years and years and years on your behalf, all of you, any of you. And I am getting fed up. And when this Irish German gets fed up, they better watch it. This isn't a public threat, but it's a public disclosure that they are trampling on somebody that they better not trample on any longer. Okay? So that's all I can share with you for right now. I care wholeheartedly in every situation. In your case, there was some causes. In her case, there was no causes at all. But and I'm not saying that yours is that bad at all. They should be bringing these services to your home. They should be providing for you to keep those children in a love bonding relationship.
They should, in all ways, whatever it takes, reunify the family.
Exactly.
Unless there is such abuse and such violence in the
Exactly.
home that it would be murder to place them back into the home.
Obviously isn't. That is absolutely.
They say that is their first priority, reunification with the family.
But they don't do anything.
They gave me initially a 6-month case plan agreement, which I had to sign when I first got out of prison. You will do this, you will do this, you will do this, you will do this, and if all of this is not completed, then we'll file a severance. Well, I didn't follow through with it. My God, it took me a year just to get out of shell shock from getting out of prison after 8 years.
Oh, imagine.
So because I didn't follow that game plan of theirs and stick to the time frames, then that's grounds for taking my children away from me.
They wouldn't have anyhow. I know other cases where they followed it all religiously, where they had case records continuously. The hour, the times that CPS didn't show, or they were late. And these people have had to quit their medical training and various things, quit their jobs to get there. And of course, they don't have the money either. I mean, neither for taxis or even for buses at times. But where they have religiously followed the pattern. It doesn't do any good, it doesn't matter. No matter whether you do or whether you don't, they use it either way. And the Arizona Supreme Court is supposed to be having some changes, and I haven't seen any real reaction from them. I keep hearing these same stories repeated over just different versions. It's not doing any good.
You know, they talk about the time frames. Here's a really strange scenario. They removed my children from the home, and now that they've been out of the home for so long, and I'm sure everyone has heard this same stuff before, these same stories, they're using the time that they've been out of the home placement, which they did. We did not give our children away. They were taken away.
Of course.
Now, because it has drawn on for so long, they have postponed hearings. This has been kicked off. This has been moved up. As it's dragging on so long that now they have another tool in which to use against us on grounds to sever our rights and adopt our children out. Well, Your Honor, but they say, the lawyer for the children, the lawyer for CPS, they say, now, Your Honor, the children's been out of the home for so long, doesn't even know the parents, don't even talk about the parents anymore. Our kids don't even talk about us anymore, is what they tell us. Oh, they never mention you. Christopher never says he wants to see you. But what I'm saying is that they use that as, okay, They've been at home for so long, they've detached from their parents for so long, and well, they're starting to kind of bond to this therapeutic lady who is meeting his special needs. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they built up that whole time frame in there, and now they have that as another tool against us to not give us the children back.
They have a sea of workers who are at their discretion, paid by them, or paid by the government or the state or whatever. But their income, all these different people, are at their discretion. They get the power, they get the increases in salary because of all the number of people that they supervise in one way or another. It is total treachery. It is totally against this Bible or this one.
Well, think of how many people Child Protective Services is for you. Think of how many of you would be without a job.
Exactly,
If my
that's
children
my
were
point.
given back to me,
That's my
and
point.
thousands of other children were given back to their parents, you would probably be out of a job.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but
That's
that's
exactly
what it boils
true.
down to.
I have to state something too. I have contacted the senator's office. I started doing this last week. The governor's office. I also contacted Senator Hirschberger's office up in Phoenix. I will keep fighting. I will not sign any papers to have my boys severed and adopted out. These are my livelihoods. I love them, and I will fight you tooth and nail until they're returned home to
Are
me.
you getting any good response from any of the legislative people?
None
Well,
whatsoever.
this just started last week.
There's
I
two
haven't.
that I know that are very knowledgeable of this situation, and they are trying. One is Dr. Andy Nichols. The other one is Ruth Solomon. Now, those two people have personally told me that I have been able to alert them of the real needs and causes behind this. So do contact them and see where they stand now. I'm sure that they're in your favor, absolutely. But I'm also sure that they're hurdling a lot of hurdles as well as you folks are. But also contact Steve Neely. So do you have any attorneys that, besides Larry Berlin,
State-appointed attorneys.
does that do any good?
No.
I
Well,
wouldn't say so, yeah.
There's several reasons. Partly they're overloaded, partly they're underpaid, but partly they have divided loyalties between whether they are for CPS or against CPS, and so they do not have a clear slate to be able to deal directly.
They definitely have their limitations.
They do have, in all respects. It is a totally unfair situation. Here, the Psalms 94. I was praying to the Lord one morning because I was going to the Saturday morning breakfast group and wanting to enlist their help to the extent I could. I asked the Lord to show me, and I don't normally get the specifics from the Bible. I know them generally because this Bible was read to me as a child by my own dad every single day at the dinner table. So generally it's all in there someplace. But this is the one that specifically God sent me. And it's going to be a little bit long, but listen, because there's every word in here is vital to these situations. Psalms 94. O Lord God, to whom vengeance belongeth, O God, to whom vengeance belongeth, show thyself. Lift up thyself, thou judge of the earth. Render a reward to the proud. Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph? How long shall they utter and speak hard things, and all the workers of iniquity boast themselves? Absolutely what they're doing. They break in pieces thy people, O Lord, and afflict thine inheritance, thy heritage. These children are a heritage of the Lord, as well as of yours. They slay the widow and the stranger, and murder the fatherless. And they make them fatherless when they're not even fatherless. Yet they say, the Lord shall not see, neither shall the Lord God of Jacob regard it. Understand, ye brutish among the people, and ye fools, when will you be wise? He that planteth the ear, shall he not hear? He that formed the eye, shall he not see? He that chasteneth the heathen, shall he not correct? He that teaches man knowledge, shall he not know? The Lord knoweth the thoughts of man, that they are vanity. Blessed is the man whom thou chastenest, O Lord, and teachest him out of thy law, if he can be taught. They that thou mayest give him rest from the days of adversity, until the pit be digged for the wicked. For the Lord shall not cast off his people, neither shall he forsake his inheritance. But the judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow it. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Who will stand for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. When I said, my foot slippeth, thy mercy, O Lord, held me up. In the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul. Now here, this is verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They make their own laws to frame their own mischief. Now, isn't that a good one? Verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous, and condemn the innocent blood. But the Lord is my defense, and my God is the rock of my refuge. He shall bring upon them their own iniquity, shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the Lord thy God shall cut them off. And in other places it tells specifically that their own children will be damaged themselves. I don't know to what extent this is true, but I can wager that it is true. I haven't checked in any of these case histories, but it has to be true because God's word is absolute. So the best comfort I can give you is God is watching all of this too. He is going to bring these children into a right relationship with you at some time. He is forever working on behalf of his children, and you are his children. And I'm deeply grateful that you are, and I know that it sounds like crying down a well when you've waited so long and watched your own child. Now, you were having some difficulties around Christmas time. We're running